So the idea was to form two lines and to move along the line. You get to start with your name, organization, sector that you worked in, and country. And the last one is describe one interesting thing that you encountered in the last week. Go.
I don't think we're in the business of giving help where help is not needed. That was funny.
Started out to be international development 20 years ago, and we started to realize that it's really important to look at what we do here in the North in terms of the impacts we have around the world, and the topics have changed over the years as well. Our hope is that with the films that we're showing, if we're showing a film about water issues, then we want to direct people to go to the Council of Canadians table or the local watershed groups that are working on those types of issues.
This is a website for community groups, activist or social change community groups in the Comox Valley. Basically, if your group joins us, you can put your press releases, your announcements, whatever you'd like on there. 3,000 to 4,000 hits a month. There are 60,000 people in the Comox Valley. One of the things that's becoming obvious to us, we're not journalists, right? We're providing a venue for the member groups. But there's this pressure, you know, people say, well, we should have cameras at City Council. Okay, well that would be good. We could put city council meetings up there. But then people are saying, well, we should be challenging these guys, you know. So there are people who want this to turn into a journalism project, and it may well. I don't know. Maybe it'll spin off and become a media cooperative and become the agitational focus of the Comox Valley. But who knows?
Kopangong is as how are you? Then you use Kope. Kopangong. Kope. Kopangong. Jumbo. You have passed the test. In order to do projects in Uganda, we talk a lot. We have workshops. Villagers tell us what to do. We don't dictate to them because they are the people who know the area very well. I've lived in poverty. I know what it means. I've lost 50% of my people. My family members, who were 10, due to poverty. And that prompted me to start over the case. Considering that we have operated for 3 years, we have accomplished a lot. We will be 40 wells soon, serving anywhere between 70 to 100,000 people. We have bought over 500 goats given to women's group. We have bought about 200 beehives. We have started a nursery, and we are about to complete the community center, training and so on. I'm trying to empower villagers, train the young generation so that they take ownership and leadership in their future. I don't want them to have just handouts, but they have to be efficient, drive the development projects by themselves. We are just there to assist them.
One of the things that we see in Kamloops, and I think this is certainly increasing across the country, are an increasing number of community university partnerships. And this has certainly had an impact on research as well. There are increasingly more opportunities for communities and universities to come together to engage jointly in research. And every year in our program, we have about 100 students who undertake practicum placements here in British Columbia, and also increasingly internationally. And over the past 5 years, since I've been at TRU, I've seen a huge increase in student interest in learning about development issues and looking for different types of opportunities to get involved in projects and opportunities to go overseas. I don't think that it's enough to say that universities need to internationalize. I think we need to make the distinction that an international education often doesn't include development studies, and so we need to think creatively about how we can bring back international development into academia.
I want everybody who's going going to be presenting to stay at your, go to your table and stay there, and I'll bring you the microphone and you can do your little introductions from there. These are our new members, newish members. In the past year or so, they have become members of the network. Many of you are more established, know each other from various events and networking opportunities. We thought this would be a good time for you to get to know some of the newer members of the network.
We're going to look at one of the challenges some of our volunteers are facing and how the work that we're doing is fairly unique. I'll tell you why. We think sponsoring an African spreadsheet is more important than an African child.
We're friends working together, emphasize friends, 100% volunteer, plus 100% transparency in governance and live accounting, 100% managed via the net, and 100% donations to initiatives.
Do you remember being 15 and in high school, feeling as though the whole world was just waiting for you? Well, Justice High and Change Pilots are dedicated to creating that moment for youth in our community. That moment where they choose to become leaders and change makers.
Where we're partnered with another organization here, actually, in BCCIC, that's Sustainable Cities, and working with the Dar es Salaam City Council and the 3 municipalities on environmentally related issues like waste management, livelihood improvements for local citizens, but in a sustainable way.
We have our long-term and short-term volunteers who go and work in these districts, and in Saboba district, what they're doing is they're improving the access to data about what infrastructure is out there, how it works, how well it's operating, and what the priority is for improvement.
If there's a particular issue that your organization is working towards and you think it would be a really good idea for the Global Stewardship students to put on a workshop that is in line with that issue, like they're going to have formal training as far as to the logistics of putting on a workshop, but as far as content and stuff like that, we are looking for mentors.
Great, well I look forward to chatting more with you, because I think that we don't find an innovative way to move away from what we're doing. We're just going to replicate the situation.
So going into the final session of the AGM, when we were thinking about how to put today together, we were thinking about what people would want to hear about. And one of the suggestions was that maybe we could put some of the changes and directions in Canadian aid policy into a world context.
They've asked me to talk about some of the big picture stuff, what's happening globally with international development, particularly around donors. You don't have to follow the funders. No one should follow the funders, ever. You should have your mission and pursue it. We all know that. But the context you work in is then the negotiation between your mission and the folks that have the money to support it. Do you think that donors are trending towards stricter approach, more focus on each MDG, or towards looking at the underlying issues?
Vertical MDGs.
At the underlying issues? Not?
Maybe some of the foundations are more towards the underlying issues, but a lot of the governments and the multilateral organizations are vertical MDGs.
How many of you get bugged by the fact that you have to solve world poverty by the end of December? I exaggerate to make a point. There is a debate going on within the development community over whose voice should be most prominent. We have traditionally seen in international development that the voices that have been most prominent have been those that have a technical skill or a funding role. But I think there's another emerging trend, again, which is something that you can play a role in, which is the people most affected having their own voice. We saw it in the Jubilee 2000 campaign, which was the debt reduction campaign that went on. We saw it in the ever-strengthening role of people living with HIV/AIDS movements saying we need a voice at the policy table. What we've also seen emerging, though, is an increasing look at donor transparency. That you're in a fantastic position, and you know, tremendous organizations like the BCCIC are in a fantastic position to up your profile and role relative to how the Canadian development dollar is used, and to argue you're a stakeholder in that process, and to get involved in the policy debates that are going on.